Good day. It is time for the now monthly live stream guitar lesson. And we are finishing up with the Half-Whole Diminished scale Riffs that was started 2 weeks ago. But I had some stuff that was so goddamn hard to play for me. Somebody out there is going to say it's easy. Well, not for me. So, per the usual fashion, I'm going to be doing video performance or demonstration first, and then talking about what the hell's going on. Hey, we got some YouTube comments. Hello, Lightning Rider and Vivek. Hey, you're on. So after we go through today's main stuff, we could talk more about some of those questions you had earlier. All right, so hey, let's get this video shit up and ready to go. I am so unprepared today. Shame on me. Doesn't that look horrible? Yes, it does. Hold on. Oh my god. Thank you. Alright, now you get to see what the hell I'm doing. Live stream lessons. Here we go. Open this with VLC. It's gonna happen in just a second, I swear to God. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on. There we go. Alright. Desktop audio on. Me off. Yeah, every time I finish that riff, Ableth just comes into the room and starts dancing around. Anyway, so yeah, those two riffs, good God, the practice sessions for those were exhausting. Fucking exhausting. I am so glad the video recording for those is done. I didn't practice those two at all since yesterday up to today's stream, so you're not going to get a pristine performance. Yeah. Good day, Mr. Taylor. Life's a meditation, and hey, guitar student Joe. Glad to see you made it. Yeah, so gonna play them again one at a time. So we'll play example number 4, and then I'll bring up the tab and start breaking it down and talking about what to do. And this is one example of why I was thinking, you know, maybe calling this a single riff is not really correct, because there's quite a few riffs put together in it. Yeah. So let's bring that up. Example number 4 again, and then let's break it down. I swear to God, this damn thing needs to start working better. Thank you. Alright, time to break this bitch down. Get the tab thing opening up here. Take a second. Guitar Pro 7 opens slow as shit. So yeah, learning this one and piecing it together. If you know me and what I preach, metronome, metronome, metro fucking no. Couldn't have done it without it. Not a damn chance. One moment. There we go. Alright. I'll start rearranging the screen to make this look better as I talk. So I broke this down in piece by piece, bar by bar, line by line, and started piecing things together. I think for like this chunk right here, I did quarter notes to begin with. Quarter notes. So I talk about graduation speeds. And what the hell is that? That means I do, hang on, can I do this a little bit different? Maybe not. I have an idea. Oh, fuck, I'll make this work. Let's get the, there we go. Yeah, so I talk about graduation speeds when it comes to metronome training, practice, whatever you want to call it. And what I mean by graduation speed is you have a certain number of beat tempo you're trying to reach before you go from one subdivision to the next. So typically, a lot of people are working on 16th note subdivisions. They want to do that. And you think, well, I want to be good at 16th note stuff, so I need to work on 16th notes. And then they'll tell me how I can't get past 100 or 110. It's like, what do I need to do? You need to slow it down. You need to work on 8th notes first. So, basically, metronome process, in case you don't know, or you watch this archive stream, and you're like, what do you do for metronome? Start at 60. Whether it's 8th notes, 16th notes, quarter notes, I don't care what the hell it is. Start at 60. It's a damn good speed to start with. It's a full second for every single beat. One of the biggest complaints I receive on people starting at 60 is they say it feels too slow. It's harder to start with that. And I say, good. That means you got to think about what the hell you're playing that much more, which is going to ingrain it in your brain that much more. Now, you could say, well, what about doing it at 10 beats a minute? You got to really slow it down and think about it then. There's always that law of diminished returns. 60 beats a minute is definitely a pace you can follow. I do it. My students do it. I've seen them do it. If you watch my practice streams that I put up on Twitch, like 5 days a week at least, seems like, you'll see me starting at 60 and building it up that way. So, anyway. So, I started working on this chunk here first. And in fact, it was such a pain in the ass and just a mind fuck for me that, actually, you know, I'm going to change something real quick here so I can monitor YouTube chat stuff a little bit better while I'm running my mouth. Alright, there we go. Good day, Eduardo. Glad to see you make it. So yeah, I broke this down really teeny tiny pieces. So for those of you who actually want to play this shit, you might want to do the same thing. Because what really messed with me, like on this tapping part, is what makes sense for a playable approach is that if the left hand does something like this, you know, going like pinky middle first, if the right hand would follow the same amount of steps. So you start with one fret here, and then you go down a whole step, both hands, and a half step. Well, I did the opposite. So it was like, if the left hand went down a whole step, well, the right hand would only go down a half step. So both hands are doing different things. And man, that screwed with my head. So I slowed it way down, and I just did chunk by chunk. I think I just did that to start with. I may have started with 8th notes. I can't remember. It was a lot of practice in a short period of time, like at least a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. But anyway, so I just broke that down in really tiny, small, slow steps. In fact, yeah, just right there, just 1 and 2 and 3 and then just bumped that up 5 beats per minute and did it again. And that was one thing. And then I broke it down into just doing these notes here until my head was able to wrap around what the right hand did and what the left hand did. And I just worked on that. Bump it up 5. So again, I started with 8th notes. I may have done quarter notes, but let's assume I didn't. I'll just say 8th notes to simplify this whole explanation. And then after I did that, then I worked on getting that chunk up to speed. See, I'm already forgetting what the hell it is. And just bumped it up 5. And then eventually I started combining them. Like I would work on just that phrase right there. And then this just to hit the transition point. And then eventually all of that. Let me zoom out a little bit here. There we go. So then this is like the whole phrase, the first really challenging phrase in this. I also then just started working on all that. and then eventually all that together before I combined all this shit together. And it was a while before I started feeling comfortable enough to do 16th notes. This was originally in 32nd notes, because that's kind of how I felt things when I was tapping my foot. But, you know, it's much easier to practice and see visually with 16th notes instead. So I just changed the rhythm notation. Same thing, though. So yeah, nice. This whole son of a bitch part. Let's see how well I play this today. Slow. So let's see, how do I want to start that part? I think I started practicing this whole legato section from that tap 16 right here. Oh man. So taps. Right. So you got that down, and you slide down from your index finger, and I like the way this sounded, hammering on, hammer, hammer, slide, and then what I end up doing is I have to switch from my middle finger to ring finger, because I'm going to do the pull-offs. At first I thought about, or one time I thought about going like this, so this way my fingers are already set up for it, but having the hammer-ons versus the slide made the notes sound just a little bit more clear to me, so that's why I chose to do it this way. Now here, you have tapping the 16 with the middle finger, and then the 17 with the ring finger pulling off like that. So 2 fingers for the tap on that part. And then a hammer on from nowhere for that note. Originally I was going to pick it, but that was too fucking hard. So that was one main thing I had to practice the shit out of. Now let's move down a bit further here. I wonder if I can get this all on the same screen. Da-da-da-dum. I guess that's good enough. So this was another really big pain in the ass section. So slowly from here to here. I really like that dissonance there. So it's not an octave apart. You got your G note there with the major 7th. Usually a major 7th chord is very pretty and pleasing to the ear, but because those are actually just a minor 2nd apart without all the other notes in a major 7th chord, it sounds really fucked up. I like that. So one of the biggest challenges about this is tapping the 16 here and having to get your hand way down here really fast, and then just making sure you can jump that hand up as you do the pick, pull hammers. So that was another one, just slowly broke it down piece by piece. Started with 8th notes and gradually worked it up before starting to work on the 16th notes. Last part wasn't too bad. Let me see here. Oh, I wanted it to be all in one line. There we go. So down here now. So you got 8th notes for this, and then back to 16th notes on that part. This part could be confusing for some people because it's basically like doing groups of 3 notes, but you're dividing the beat into 4 parts. So it's basically polymetric for this section. But for me, that was one of the easier parts. Actually, what I ended up doing when I practiced this initially is instead of tapping 2019, 2019 here, I tapped 18, 17, 18, 17 instead, because apparently I don't know how to count my damn frets after playing for 20 years. But when I played along to the Guitar Pro track, it's like, oh shit, I've been tapping the wrong notes. At least that was an easy fix, just had to move my hand up a whole step. So yeah, I practiced this part individually here. But for this section, I liked having the sound of all these notes ringing out together with distortion to really add dissonance, which is, I think, very characteristic of the diminished scale. Diminished scale is, I would say, for us metal guys, we use it to create some evil shit. I fucked up. Now, to me, that just sounds like all kinds of dissonance and tension right there. So that's why I wrote it that way. And then a very typical diminished style arpeggio for the end. You're just doing just diminished arpeggio shit on the way down, and just there you go. The first part was one of the easier things to do. So you're using, start with an octave thing. Actually move this down a little bit. Starting with an octave, and then basically playing an arpeggio of a diminished 5th chord. So lots of sliding happening in this. I like the way it sounded. Until you get into that bitch. And then we have one super easy part. Well, super easy. Just some chords right here. It's like, okay, you got all this really crazy, complex shit. Let's balance it out with something super easy. Super easy. So that's what all this is. And for those of you interested in songwriting, things like that, I do recommend you balance things out. If you have like a lot of crazy complex stuff, if you like it that way, fine. But you might want to, like for me, I don't want to hear it like a constant barrage of insanity. I want to have some kind of, hello count, glad to have you on board. Yeah, I like to balance the crazy insano shit with some more straightforward, straight ahead stuff that's really easy for your ear to grasp. Because, you know, I think one reason why I believe people like to bitch about shred guitar players is because they think all they do is just put in as many notes as fast as they can in the shortest amount of time possible. And it's very exhausting for a lot of people's ears. So having space in between the notes is actually a very good thing to do to make your music stand out more, make it catchier, things like that. So balance the insanity shit with some not insanity stuff at all. Very simple stuff. So that's one reason I chose to do this. So basically just sticking with, and these are actually 5th chords that do fit in key. Last stream I talked about how, wonder if I did the, I ignored the fact that you can't have a perfect 5th with every single chord, but I just used the root note to follow. Anyway, these chords, they are all in. So what I did was I hit the chords that were in the Half-Whole Diminished scale. The hell would I play? And then I switched to augmented 5th chords. So basically a root note and a sharp 5. Shit. There. Can't play the easy stuff. And then I wanted to get rhythmic. I guess some people would call it a breakdown. Let me see if I can change this a little bit. Get it all in one line. There we go. That's what I want. So this originally was just going to be the same diminished fifth chord the whole time, even when I switched octaves here, but it was such a pain in the ass to go from this to all the way up to here for that part. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to move it, same notes. I'll keep the open E, but then I changed those two notes to an octave higher. Same chord, just slightly different sound, but basically the same sound. Much easier to play that way. So yeah, without a metronome, this isn't going to make much sense. So I have to close my Twitch stream chat room for the moment. And then let's get the metronome. So here it is at the old 60 beats a minute. And let's double that speed. And now the speed of the actual riff. And let's get back to the Twitch. Shit, where the hell did it go? Well, so far I haven't missed any comments. Alright, anyway. So, how the fuck do you count something like this? Let's talk about that. So, for those who do not, you are not familiar with counting rhythm, this could be very confusing. Count asks, which pick are you using? This is, let's see if we can get a good shot of that. Come on, focus. There, oh, I kind of did for a second there. Maybe if I cover up my face. You son of a bitch, camera. Well, focus for a second there. This is a gravity. It's a gravity pick. Come on, focus. There we go. There it is, gravity. So 5 millimeters instead of the 6 I would normally get. This material, they don't make a 6 millimeter one. This thing is fucking expensive, but it's the wear and tear on it's like almost non-existent. This lasts a long time. Like, I think one tip might barely be wearing down, but just barely. It's like the website talks about how it lasts a long time. They're not kidding. This lasts. If only they made it 6 millimeters like the one that's my favorite. Where the hell? Oh yeah, counting this sort of rhythm. How do you do it? I wish there was a. I'm gonna have to use. I choose to use a text writing program. I'm going to talk about how you can write this stuff out. Alright, let's get another window in here. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be like that, huh? You son of a bitch. I'm gonna get it, I swear. Hold on. Alright. So let's see, maybe make the font a bit bigger. Okay, so I'd love a signature pick. Technically, you could get a signature pick from Gravity Pick. You pay extra and you can have whatever the hell you want inscribed on it. You just have to have order a pick that's big enough to have your stuff fit on there. So figuring out complicated rhythms. So writing out a full count of whatever the subdivision is going to be, and then underlining the part of the beat you play on. That's how I recommend doing these things, and that's what I teach students. So I'm not going to be physically writing it out. I'm going to have to type this out. So we got 2 bars here. What's the smallest subdivision? 16th note. So what do I mean by the smallest subdivision? It means that's the fastest note value we have. We have 8th notes. Like here, we got 8th note there, 8th note there. We've got more 8th notes here, and then finally we got a couple 16th notes. And the 16th note is the fastest or smallest subdivision we've got. So because of that, first step you do, man, I keep clicking on the wrong thing here. I keep clicking on the screen capture box instead of the actual fucking notepad thing. Anyway, so you write out what a full 16th count is for both of these bars. That's step number 1. Oh my god. And copy. Come on. So there we go. We got our 2 bars prepped and ready to go. So it's kind of like your rhythmic skeleton. All the pieces that you play will fit into this. So, full 16th count would be what it says right there: 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So, we're going to start with 1 beat at a time. Beat number 1, we have 2 8th notes. I'm going to go through this somewhat quick. Basically, you'd be playing on the 1 and the and. So that's how beat 1's going to go right here. 1 and. Now the next beat, you have an 8th note rest, followed by another 8th note. So the only thing you're playing on in beat 2 is on the and. Beat number 3, we have an 8th note followed by an 8th note rest. So only thing we play on here is the downbeat of 3. Beat number 4, we now have our first 16th note. So we have 2 16th notes and an 8th note. So that means you're going to underline 4, E, and. So our first bar, this is what we have for bar number 1. You just say out loud the part of the beat you have underlined. 1 and 3, 4 E and, 1 and 3, 4 E and, 1 and 3, 4 E and. 1 and 3, 4 E and. So that's what the rhythm is there for the first bar. Alright? You with me so far? I hope so. Alright, now we go on to the second bar, beat number 1. Right here we have an 8th note rest, 2 16th notes. So the only thing underlined here is the an, a, or and a, whatever. Beat number 2, we have an 8th note followed by an 8th note rest. So we just play on the downbeat of number 2, or beat number 2. And then beat number 3 is this. So we have 2 16th notes, 16th note rest, and then another 16th note. So we underline the 3, E, and then the fourth and final beat, we have 16th note rest, 2 more 16th notes. So we underline the 4, the an, Come on. There we go. So, bar number 2, again, you just say out loud the part of the beats that you have underlined. This goes to the whole, if you can't say it, you can't play it thing. This is why I strongly encourage all students I work with, learn how to say the rhythm. Because, man, it was huge for me to learn how to do this stuff. It made complicated rhythms not so complicated anymore, learning how to do this. So anyway, you have and a 2, 3E, a 4, and a 2, 3E, a 4, and a. So that's what that is there. So we got and a 2, 3E, a 4, and a 2, 3E, a 4, and a. Put the whole thing together. I guess I don't need to highlight that since I'm doing the whole thing. But basically, you have your 1 and 3, 4E and a 2, 3E, a 4, and a. Again, 1 and 3, 4E and a 2, 3E, a 4, and a. And there you go. So there's the rhythm explanation on that, with some tips on how to figure out complex shit. So I think that covers everything in this riff. So let's move on to example number 5, and we get to see our guest appearance from Abbott once again. Hooray! No, I didn't want to close that. Shit. Da-da-da-dum. Bloop. Properties, there we go. Alright, desktop audio on and me off. Now I'm curious if anyone actually recognized the music sampled at the very end of that. So yeah, that one was also very difficult to get down, and I learned it just barely in time to record the video I did for this yesterday. Barely. I still have a hard time playing it. There was a lot of swearing yesterday during the video recording. I've considered doing a blooper video of it to see so y'all can get a laugh. and watch how watch the struggle. So let's get that piece of music up. Oh, come on. Thank you. Open. There it is. No, it was not Norah Jones. Alright, well there's the whole thing first. So I wanted this to, I had the goal of making this thing just weird. And hey, what's a good way to make something weird? Do odd-ass time signatures. And a 15/16 time signature is pretty damn weird. But it ended up turning into 17/16 at this point. Kind of just happened naturally. Just the thing I was hearing just kind of lent itself to that. But basically, obviously this is very rhythmic. Lots of 2-note chords going on. There's a few 3-note chords going on. And I thought about putting in all the chord names here, but some instances over here, like a Guitar Pro, it would just make it look like absolute shit. So we'll talk about what the hell's going on here, theory-wise. And I'm looking at the time, like, hey, this is actually going to be a fairly lengthy stream, but you know what? I'm just going to keep it going until it's done. And afterwards, if we got questions, people are interacting with stuff, I'll just keep it going until it's time to stop it, I guess. So, let's break it down chunk by chunk. I guess I can hold the guitar the rock and roll way for right now. Try and get, yeah. Alright. So this one, I think, yeah, I practiced this with eighth notes pretty much the whole time. It was just way easier to keep track of what the heck was going on in this, because there's just so many, it's just a constant barrage of change the whole time. So, bar one here. Decided, let's use the typical metal thing and pedal off a note. And since the root note for our scales has been A, let's start with that. So you got the A5 chord to start with. Going into a minor dyad right there. So I like doing that because one thing I like to do with chord changes for things like this is if one note goes up, another note goes down. So the melody for the root note is, whereas the melody for the higher note is this. So the root note goes up while the higher note goes down and then back to the original one. So I like doing things like that. Sounds neat to me. So you go into this B flat minor dyad. You got a root note and a minor third. For that part, those three chords right there in a row, highly recommend doing it with your ring and pinky first, and then going into your first and second there. You could do it this way, but I felt the transition was much easier to do once you get used to using all four fingers. Besides, it makes you a better guitar player, so use your damn hand. Anyway, so what do we have here? We have basically a diminished fifth. You have your 1 and flat 5. A major dyad, 1 and major third. So a major chord. Basically, it's an abbreviation of that. 1, 3, 5, but just the 1 and 3. But used in this context, the happy chord doesn't sound very happy anymore. Which is one reason I tell people, students, you can make happy sounding things fit in a metal context depending on how you use it. So that includes jazz chords, things that are not normally in metal. If you learn the theory and you learn, ways of putting things together in a very strange manner, it doesn't sound like jazz anymore. It sounds metal as fuck. Hey, MC. Good to have you on, but it looks like you're gonna just come back and watch the archive stream. That's fine. It'll be up until YouTube servers collapse. Alright, where the hell was I? So, yeah, diminished 5th, major dyad, back to the straight up head power chord. And then the last 3 here. Minor dyad, major, major. So the first bar here. Slowly. Now when I practice this, and this is something I advise everyone to do when they're breaking things down, don't just end on the bar. Go to the transition part. So start the next note on the next bar. So this way you're much more prepared to piece things together. Anyway, so there's your first bar. Second bar is the same at the beginning. So here to here is exactly the same. Here to here to here. You see, here we have 1 open A. Here we have 2. So the 1 open A allows me to squeeze in another chord and turn up the weirdness. So we have 3 major dyads in a row here. So all this stuff, good God, I hope, is all in scale. I ended up catching myself on another chord, like, oh shit, I like the way that sounds, but there's 1 note that's not in the scale, so I had to get rid of it. But that's the only thing I caught so far. But yeah, all this stuff is in your half-whole diminished scale. So this is really showing you all kinds of stuff you can do. There's a lot of variation you can do in this. Anyway, so this bar we have. And then a fairly challenging transition for some. This chord down to this augmented 5th. It's a bit of a fast change there. So if you're going to practice that bar, make sure you hit that transition chord as well. You will be thankful you did. Alright, so this one, now we take it down to the heavier tone of the open E. Can't see that chord on screen right now, but that's going to be the one we transition into. Anyway, so you got the augmented 5th to begin with, root and sharp 5. Minor dyad, major, major, and it's basically put those 2 together. Come on, those 2 right there, that creates an augmented chord. 1, 3, sharp 5. But I'm just doing it separately. I think sometimes I wouldn't even bother to take my index finger off, which isn't a big deal because you still hear the bass note change and that creates the movement I want. So anyway, continuing on with the full bar, and then another major dyad there. Back to our augmented 5th. Minor dyad. Keep the index finger down into the diminished 5th. And that's going to be what it turns into. So that bar all the way cat filter in front of the amp right now. Slowly. So when I'm transitioning from this to the next chord, you're about to see middle finger stays put, and you're going to use your third and fourth. Normally you'd hold a chord like this, but because of the transition from here to here, it makes more sense to use the unorthodox fingering. Sometimes you gotta do stuff you would normally not do, and that's fine. So apparently I can't just scroll down with this. Fantastic. Hell, let's see, what can I do here? Because that's gonna chop my ass off. Hang on. That looks shitty. That's better. Alright. Bloop. And here's the last chunk of it. So there's that chord I talked about that transitioned into. So this bar here, we finally break away from the single note, single string pedal point. I wanted some variation, so I decided let's just palm mute the hell out of one chord for once. So, you see I got the palm mute chords, they're basically just the 3-note one here, but you're mostly focused on hitting the bottom 2 notes. If you hit the top one as well, that's fine. But it also sounds better in Guitar Pro when you cut out that top note. It makes the palm mute section more obvious. So, there's a really fast chord transition that happens, and my God, that kicked my ass. What's the cast's name? Asking the most important question. Her name is Waffles. I did not name her. That was the previous owner's doing. I don't know what I would name her. I'd probably let my wife name her. Because apparently she didn't like the cat name I had in mind for another pet, which is Thunderbulge. Anyway. Of course I'd come up with the ridiculous shit. So, yeah, that bar. We have root note, duh, a flat 5, and then here, that's a F sharp, which is a 6th interval. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, here. So 1, flat 5, and 6. Which just so happens to be, it's actually an inversion of this here E flat or D sharp diminished triad. What the hell am I talking about? Hey, let's get into that. I'm gonna write this down so I don't, you know, skip. You know what? Let me bring this notepad thing up, and then you can see what I'm talking about. So the notes we're building with, we still have the A. I'm hitting that first. You can't see me hitting that note. Well, that doesn't really help. I guess that'll work. Alright, so A is being hit first, second note being hit. We'll call it the D sharp. And F sharp. Yes, F money. So, if you start here, and you play those notes together, well, there's your D sharp. There's your F sharp, F money, and then there's your A. So you see the same 3 notes. So sometimes when naming chords, instead of trying to name this guy from the A is the root note, saying, oh, you have a 1, a flat 5, and a natural 6. I mean, you could name something that way. That'd be a pain in the fucking ass. I don't want to do that. Let's simplify things and just say this is a D sharp diminished chord / A. Basically, this. So you're saying you have a D sharp diminished chord, but the A is in the root note. You don't even have to say that. You can just say it's a D sharp diminished chord to really simplify, but usually you put in the new root note name. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen anything that does not have the root note when it's different, but you wind up with the same thing. So those notes. Anyhow, anyway, whatever. Whoops, wrong thing. There. So we have our diminished chord in the diminished scale being played. And then here we have a... People are going to debate this one. D sharp diminished 7, no 3. Yeah, that's you could call it that, because yeah, the 6th interval is the same thing as a double flat 7. So yeah, I would. You'd wind up with the same thing, absolutely. The hell was I? Right here. So you had your root note, a 5, and a flat 9, or flat 2. Depends on if you want to be pedantic on what octave is being used. I am against that for the most part, because if you are going to be like, oh, you have to keep the octave in mind all the time. It's like, well, what about the extra C note there? Are we going to be concerned about that octave? Probably not. What about this G? You have that G, and that G. So you basically have 3 octaves of G in that chord, but we never talk about all the different octaves in there. So usually if the 3 isn't present, I consider the 9 a 2. That's just the way I simplify things. So we got a flat 2, which is basically root note, flat 2, 5, which is a suspended flat 2nd. Some people argue that's not correct. That's how I learned it. Talked about it with the jazz guy who has 3 masters in this shit. He understood what I was talking about, and he said, you know what? That's a good one. They actually call it a suspended flat 9 in the book that he teaches out of. So you wind up with the same damn notes, same intervals. There you go. 1, flat 2, and 5 together. I'm calling it a suspended flat 2nd, because you get 1, 5, flat 2. Anyway, boom. Phrygian triad. Yeah, I think I saw Rick Beato talking about that one of his videos, and that's the first time I've ever seen that name. And then I also asked the jazz guy I know, does jazz just use a different names for their theory stuff? And he said there is a bit of difference between that and what classical musicians use for their theory talk, which I think is ridiculous. It's all music. You should have universal shit for everything. It's math. Why have 2 names for the same thing? It sounds confusing. Pick one. Anyway, so we have, this is the crazy fast change I mentioned. So you got the suspended flat 2nd, diminished 5th chord, and hey, doesn't that look familiar? That's the same thing. Slid up a major 3rd. So we got ourselves another inversion of diminished. That was a pain in the fucking ass to get down. So I just singled those 3 out to get that down and just metronomed that. So fingering, I'm going 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4. So I'm keeping my index and pinky down. So basically I'm like going from here to here. I'm just kind of scrunching it together, reducing the stretch, as classical and jazz guys hate each other, apparently. I thought it was jazz guys hate the metal guys and the rock guys. I didn't realize they hate classical players too. Play them over a clean channel. Let me do that after I finish going through the rest of this, and then yes, I'll play it on the clean. So yeah, we got the sus flat 2, diminished 5th, diminished inversion, and then once we get up here, yeah, so fingering I was talking about, so 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Keep the 1st and 4th down, just scrunch it together as you shift over. Replace your ring finger with your middle, and then here you just got to change your hand. So now you got your middle, 3rd, and 1st. And I love that chord sound right there. So basically you got your root note, your flat 5, root note again, and a natural 5. So basically those notes are the same, just an octave apart, but you have a flat 5 and a natural 5. So you could also say you have a root note, or sharp 4, root note, and 5, which creates another chord that's a favorite of mine, a suspended sharp 4. You got your root note, sharp 4, 5, and that's actually the beginning. The suspended sharp 4 is the beginning of an Opeth song. Classical guys just hate everyone. Maybe they're mad because they have such a... No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to talk shit about them. Never mind. So yeah, that's what we got going on there. Jumping into that suspended sharp 4. So you ever want to create dissonance in a song? Use that. It sounds fucking metal. Moving on to the next bar. Before our free time section. Put that up on the video demonstration, but I used that. Well, whatever. This is free time after this last chord. So we got... So another augmented 5th, minor dyad, augmented 5th, minor dyad, and then this is just the root and 6 together, which is just an inversion of that, another minor dyad. So this is just playing the flat 3rd in the bass and the root note on the top. So, same chord flipped on its head. So slowly for that whole chunk. Fast changes. That one took a while to get down to. Diminished 5th. And here, originally I was going to go from this to this, I think it was. But, was that it? Fuck, I don't remember. Or was it this? I think that was the chord. But you can't, that was a pain in the ass to hold. But that D note's not part of the scale. Anyway, so I decided, fuck it, I'm just going to hit that chord twice. And it worked. If anything, it's probably improved it because it wasn't a constant change the chord, change the chord, change the chord, change the chord all the damn time. Anyway, what do we have here? We have a root note, or a 3rd, another sixth interval. 1, flat 3, 6. I would just call that a minor 6. You want to get pickier with it, you say minor 6, no 5. So your 1, flat 3, 6. And that is just a diminished fifth with an octave of both notes being repeated. Root, flat 5, root, flat 5. Uh-oh. And then on to the ending here, where Abath sometimes makes an appearance. I just wanted to throw in, now this one, the old internet, from what I've seen, seems the common way to call this chord is A minor major 7. The way I learned it was A minor natural 7. Thank you, Gamerska. So, A minor major 7, A minor natural 7, you wind up with the same interval structure. 1, flat 3, 5, natural 7. Which is also common in the harmonic minor scale. So, usually, like if you're playing in a natural minor key, you have 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. And this, we have a natural 7, and when you have a natural 7 on top of a minor triad, it sounds fucking awesome. And very out of place, which is perfect for metal. And then what I did here is chord tapping I like to do. You hold a chord down, and then you tap some notes on top of that to create a new melody. I like holding that out there because you can hear a lot of that dissonance ringing out. That's awesome. It's awesome. The notes I picked, well, I just liked the way it sounded, so I started tapping and shit. Like, well, I ended up settling on that because I like the way it sounds. And there you have it. One of the most bizarre things I've written for myself. And clean channel for... the hell was it? This part over here. At least those 3 chords. There we go. Clean for that progression there. Where we go? New session here tonight. Might get a lick to use. C augmented with A for the root note. Oh! Yeah. Yes, indeed. Another way, and that's one of the interesting things about theory, isn't it? You can name chords so many different ways. So many different ways. Well, I'm going to, Mr. Gamerscott, I don't have these things, the tabs for this stuff online yet, but tomorrow I will be putting up all 5 riff examples, all the tabs up tomorrow when I do my weekly summary and put all this shit together. Yeah. Yep. Catching the end here. Now, let's see. Let me scroll up here. Still no one talking on Twitch. That's alright. I'm still very unpopular there. Hey Vivek, are you still there on the old YouTube? Or did you get sick of waiting on my ass? Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. I'll also be posting just all the 5 examples in one short video. I might do that today. Definitely tomorrow at the latest. I got to re-render it because I realized the fade in I wanted on the flames at the end of the last example, I fucked it up. It's like 5.5 minutes long for all 5 examples, like something like that, and it takes over an hour to render everything down because I have all those tiny little Abbott animation things going on. It's just so much info. It takes a while. Well, hey, now's the time to ask questions. And I'll also say for those watching, so yeah, I've been doing bi-weekly streams. I'm cutting back to just once a month. Especially since I continue to have these tendencies to write shit that's way too damn hard for me to play, and I got to practice my ass off. This past week and a half of practice was grueling. Grueling! If after like 45, 60 minutes of practicing, it felt like I just got done jogging the whole time. So I gotta pace myself better because working on practicing, putting all this shit together, unfortunately that means I'm not able to go out and make the money I need to pay the bills. So until I start actually making money, more money, or enough money with ad revenue and Patreon lessons and actual more students again, I gotta do lots of delivery shit to fill the gaps. What do you think of hybrid picking for shreddy stuff? There's nothing related. Right now, it's ask whatever the hell you want. I'm not against it, but it's a technique I have practiced very, very little. I think the first introduction to that was a Zakk Wylde riff. What the hell was it? I think that's what I learned. He's a terrible teacher because that's about how fast he played it. Like, hey, here's this lick. Here it is again. And now I'm going to move on to the next thing. So I had to figure that out just by watching the hell out of it again and again. But basically that was, you got your pick, hammer on, move up to the A string, middle finger picks it, pick hits the E string, middle finger hits the A string again, and pull off, boom, pick, middle finger, pick. I definitely think, I don't know, it's just another thing to learn, isn't it? And right now, I'm going to devote my time to other things. But yeah. Have you approached this entire progression? Oh, how have I approached this entire progression? As far, like the thing you came in on, it was just using the half-whole diminished scale. I don't remember who asked me to do a half-whole diminished scale riff lesson. All these live streams are basically my catching up with YouTube viewer requests. I don't have time. I can't afford the time to put in to making the full production videos that I started to do. I want to get back to those, but it's just going to be a while. I got other things. Got to finish first. Big things. So yeah, I just used the half-whole diminished scale and just kind of like, what sounds good to me. For this one, the one you started watching on, I wanted it to be really damn weird. I felt that was characteristic of the diminished scale, especially for the metal guys. And so I was like, let's do an odd time signature thing as well. So that's basically kind of like odd time signature. Let's change the shit out of these chords and create some melody with the chords themselves. And that was basically it. I just kind of ran with it. My most used arpeggios, triads, definitely those. As far as like sweep context, like the things that I learned practice the hell out of. Just these three string shapes. And then I worked on the 5s. I also like doing these this minor 7/1. You're welcome, Mr. Taylor. You're welcome. I think that's the first time I had to approve a comment. YouTube flagged it because you said fuck. But hey, go ahead, bring them. I swear my ass off on these things, so fuck yeah. String skipping examples. I can just make them. I'm trying to think. Do I have anything where I use one? I'm trying to think if I have any riffs of my own I use. Nothing's coming to mind. But you know, if you use the whole tone scale, that'd make it kind of easy. Something like that. But no, I don't have any whole tone scale or string skipping things off the top of my head that I use that I can think of. Are you picking every note of the sweeps, or is it just hammer-ons and pull-offs at the top? So yeah, I'm hammer-on, pull-off. I know a lot of people will like to do. They'll pick that note, they'll pick, pull off. But you just get so much faster doing the hammer-on pull-off instead. So, fuck picking that note. Now, as far as the string skipping stuff, did you just want to know if I had stuff that I use, or are you looking to do string skipping? Could you elaborate? Hybrid picking string skipping is easier. Well, I believe that. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? Oh yeah, that's I haven't played that in a while. That was the Cliffs of Dover riff. Actually, when I learned that, who knows how long ago, I hybrid picked that. Just every time you hit that high E string, using the middle finger on the right hand, or the picking hand. Whatever the hell the rest is, I don't know. Take care, Gamer Scoff. Appreciate you coming in. Acer. When writing, how much time do you spend thinking about articulations? Any tips for developing more control of phrasing? How much do I think about articulation? I mean, are we talking about like... Well, I guess none. Really? I don't think about it. Developing more control of phrasing. When you say control over phrasing, are we talking about just playing stuff more accurately or creating more phrasing that stands out? Could you elaborate on that? Hey, we got a Twitch thing. When did I start playing guitar? I started playing about 20 years ago. I'm getting to be an old man on guitar. I mean, outstanding phrasing without too much thinking during improvisation. Well, if it's improvisation and trying to create stuff that stands out, I say play slow. I think that's one of the most overlooked things that guitar players do. I am 100% guilty. So guilty of this. My guitar teacher used to tell me to slow the fuck down all the damn time, because all I would do is try and cram in as many notes as I could, because, well, that's what I was into at the time. But playing slow, putting space in between your notes is very big for making memorable solos. Think about like you're trying to sing with your guitar. You're trying to create vocal melodies on your instrument. Things like that, I think, help it stand out. Like a lot of solos, if you can sing along with a solo or you can hum along with it. Like one of the solos on Fear of the Dark. It's very singable. You definitely recognize that right away. So I think that's helpful right there. I think I played that right. I was just going by listening to that for many years and using the scales. That's in the key of D minor. It's like, well, if I stay in these notes, I should be okay. You're welcome. Good. Well, I'll give it a couple more minutes, see if anyone else has got any questions they'd like to ask. Doesn't matter what the hell it is. Ask whatever you want. But if I don't have anything in like the next minute or two, time to cut the stream. Yeah, trying to pick everything 24 notes a second is also a great way to get all kinds of internet hate. Blues players everywhere will be cringing and jumping at the bit to tell you how shitty you are as a musician. Any tips on using Phrygian dominant? I actually did a video on writing with Phrygian dominant. So that's one thing you can do. Go on, search on my YouTube channel, writing in Phrygian dominant. There's tips there, but basically, basically any kind of mode-based writing, focus on the intervals that make it stand out. So if all you did was play the root note of the mode, the flat seconds, and the major third, then you got a nice Phrygian dominant sound. So that's, to me, what makes it sound very Phrygian dominant. You got the flat seconds coupled with that major third, so make sure that that root note is your tonal center. So if you're playing E Phrygian dominant, you want to keep drawing the listener's ear back to that E note. Now there are some notes there, you could say, well, they're technically in Phrygian dominant, but if all you did was that doesn't sound Phrygian dominant to me. Those notes are in E Phrygian dominant, but without that flat second and major third, doesn't work. Now it does to me. Oh, I won't say all blues players have boring phrases, but I swear it. People that bitch about fast playing too much, it's almost always a blues player or a jazz player. I think one guy actually was very angry at the half-whole diminished scale exercises I put up about a month ago, because he's like, nobody cares about speeds this fast. How am I supposed to use it in solos and this and that? It's like, this channel ain't for you, man. It's a fucking metal channel where people can come to learn how to play shit as fast as you can. Sure, there's musical parts to it and whatnot, but there's a lot of speed in this stuff, isn't there? Practice that riff where I finally record it. Nope. That's it. Tips on practice for speed. Anyone else in the comments section know what I'm going to say right now? Let's see if any of the viewers know what I'm about to say. Count. I'm counting on you. What would I say? What's my tip for practicing speed? If he's even there anymore. There it is! Two at the same time. Metronome, metronome. That's right. I got a bit of abuse on our video because we were too fast. That's right, metronome. That's absolutely the key. It absolutely is the key. If there's a secret weapon, a magic pill you can take, it's metronome practice. Whatever it is, you start it at 60 beats a minute. You play what you're working on one time correctly, bump it up 5 beats a minute, repeat, and just do that again and again and again till you can't get any faster, and then you start it all over again the next day at 60. You just got to make sure. Talked about this earlier in the stream, didn't I? Hey, I'm going to repeat myself because it's good stuff. Like if you're working on a 16th note pattern, you can't get past 100 beats per minute. That tells me you should not be working with 16th notes. You need to be working with 8th notes. Until you can get that 8th note, or whatever exercise you're working on with 8th notes, get that from 60 to 240 beats a minute. Do not work with 16th notes. You need to build up better mechanics. Some more solid foundation in how you play. So once you can do the 8th notes at 240 beats a minute, then you can start working with 16th notes. Again, start your metronome at 60 beats a minute. Bump up the metronome by 5 beats a minute every time you get your exercise correct or piece of song, whatever. That's the very simplified way of talking about it. But yeah, there you go. Metronome. Hey, Count's got it. There you go. Have I tried the Soundburner Pulse? There it is. They sent me a defect first to try out, and they were nice enough to send me one that does work. That was nice. Yeah, I tried it, and I felt bad that I couldn't like say a bunch of really nice things about it because, you know, somebody's nice enough to send me something to try. I would really like to be like, hey, this is fucking awesome, and tell everyone about it. But for me, it didn't make a damn difference as far as my timing, like being able to hear the beat. One thing I don't like is the feel the metro or feel the beat, not hear it. Like, I really do think if you're going to be a professional musician or just a musician who's competent, you need to learn how to count the damn beat or hear it and feel it. For those who have a very difficult time hearing it, I could see how feeling the pulse would be helpful. And my guitar teacher has told me about one of his students who has a damn difficult time hearing or feeling out the rhythm. So my teacher would actually tap the rhythm on his acoustic while the student is playing so he really feels it. So that guy could benefit from the pulse. I can see, like, in a practice setting, if you're able to hook up multiple pulse metronomes at the same time, so instead of like having a click track in everyone's ear, you know, you can all feel the pulse at the same time. But then again, your drummer should be able to keep the beat for you. The other thing, like the metronome that I use, I'm able to just tap plus or minus, and I can do it real quick to bump up 5 beats the way I want to. With the pulse metronome, if you're using the watch, you got to turn the dial. You got to go careful that you click it 5 times. Sometimes it doesn't always click or increase the amount of times you rotated the wheel. Or if you're using the app on the phone, you have to like turn it with your finger like a dial. That slowed me down as far as how fast I can go from beat to beat, which annoyed me. I mean, if they put on like the plus or minus thing, so I can just go and then go instead of having to go, okay, there it is, and then come back to it. I just want to go and then and just go back and forth. So for me, it actually slowed down my practice time just a little bit, but enough for me to be irritated with it. But overall, I don't have anything against it. I mean, if people find that it helps them practice with a metronome and they feel the beat better and it improves their timing, then go for it. Use it. Use the tools we have today to your advantage. Just like I use Guitar Pro to my advantage when it comes to writing things that I can't play. You're very welcome. Yeah, I can't get behind the just feel it. Don't hear it, feel it. It's like you need to hear it too. We're musicians, right? We use our ears. Gotta learn how to use them ears. Have I watched Marshall Harrison? I can't recall. That name sounds very familiar. Is Troy Grady doing something with him, or is that where I know the name from? I see another YouTube shred guy that people are like, yay! Marshall Harrison is the man. I don't know. Waiting on a response from the count. Am I going to get a response from the count? Maybe my stream is lagging. Fastest speed I can go. I think the fastest I know of, Troy Grady did a slowed down note picking count. I think all I was doing for some demonstration was just that. which was 360 beats a minute, which I think equaled out to 24 notes a second. So when it comes to other things, you know, yeah, you start changing strings and notes and whatnot, speed goes down significantly. But as far as I know, that's the fastest confirmed speed I've done. Troy did a thing on Marshall a few years ago. Well, that might be where I've heard of him, but that's it. I just know. I guess I've heard the name somewhere. I was learning how to use the ears. Any tip on learning to transcribe vocal melodies? For some odd reason, I'm having a much tougher time figuring out a singer's line, guitar riffs, and melodies. Well, just trying to. I mean, for me, if you're gonna figure out a vocal melody versus a guitar riff, I mean, it's basically gonna be the same thing. You just try and replicate it on your guitar. You can use programs to, you know, single things out to help you with that. Learn how to sing it yourself too. Even if you do a shitty job singing it, if you can at least hit the note well enough, that can help. Trying to sing it and then replicate it on the guitar and then sing it when you're doing it on the guitar, that could help. I'm not saying you have to like belt it out, but you know, just to kind of even like talk sing it. Just try and hit the note, replicate the note with your voice a bit. That can help you translate it to guitar. I like to use the program called Riff Station to single out a section and loop that over and over again and slow it down. So if you have any software to slow stuff down, that'll help out a lot. Yeah, I did do something with Troy. It's not paid content. The trailer stuff you've seen, that's all, that's it. That's all that's been put out. Last I heard, the whole, what was it, the science of speed is what it is. Hello, Kebabinator on Twitch. I'm doing all right. How are you doing? Kind of nearing the end of the stream right now, doing a bunch of question and answer stuff, so most of the questions are on YouTube. But hey, if you got questions, let's hear them. Yeah, so back to Troy. Yeah, he interviewed me, what, 3 years ago? Something like that. But yeah, he said they're still putting footage together, like editing everything from different people they've talked to put the whole series together. And as far as I know, it's a 3-man team. Troy, Brendan, and I can't remember the other guy. I've never met him. I don't think I've ever talked to him. But the video stuff, man, it's a bitch to put together. So I'd imagine that's one of the reasons why. And there might be, I hope I'm not giving away information I'm not supposed to, but I did talk to Troy about possibly doing a follow-up interview since some things have changed since the first interview. So kind of do some updates on how I approach things now. But yeah, I don't know when that thing's going to get put out. Can't hit the notes with your voice. Well, yeah, that would be problematic. The trailer stuff is the only thing of mine that has been put out, and that's free. You just go on YouTube and I guess you just look up John Taylor on Troy Grady's stuff. Right, yeah. The full science of speed has not been put out yet, so I don't know when that's coming out. I don't know if Quincy on YouTube, are you also Kebabinator on Twitch? If not, Kebabinator, I was talking to the people on on YouTube here. Yes, there you go. Question answered. Well, this stream is lasting almost 2 hours. This is the longest one so far. Any other questions before we cut the stream off? Anything at all. Haven't played that in a while. Yes! Yes, I did play the riff worked on earlier in the week. In fact, that's how the stream started. I got recorded video performance of it yesterday, so it was ready to go today. This way I have a guaranteed perfect, well, near perfect performance at least. So I don't have the pressure of being live and having to perform it. I mean, I played through it again, but yeah, I learned it. And after this stream is done, I don't know if I'm ever going to play that damn thing again. I'm sick of it. Sick of those riffs. But yeah, it's this stream will be archived, so you can watch that and see the actual full thing with drums. I'll also be posting a shorter video that just has all these riff examples, so you don't have to watch the whole stream. You can just get the content and be done. So long, Count. Appreciate you being around. Well, it'll be archived real quick. But, yeah. It's kind of weird for me. I'm responding to questions as soon as they come up on the screen, and I keep forgetting that, oh yeah, there's a bit of lag time on the stream. So sometimes I answer the same thing. Play some Maiden. What song? Let's see if I can do anything from ear memory. Whatever I want. Alright, let's see. Who recognizes this? That was a Maiden riff. Waiting to see if anyone knows what it was. See if I remember the other part. I think that's what the next part was. I'd rather not. It's Virus, a B-side single that most Maiden fans don't know. Yes, Blaze Bayley was the vocalist during that song. Poor Blaze. Always got so much shit. The X Factor is one of my favorite Iron Maiden albums. Didn't quite like it at first, but man, it really grew on me. In fact, I did a lesson for Patreon people on a riff off of that. What the hell was it? surprisingly difficult riff. Iron Maiden wrote it. Yannick Gears wrote that one. Did you know that Iron Maiden ripped themselves off? There's a riff in The Klansman that they use in Lost for Words. They use it in both songs. The Power Slave album and Virtual 11 album. It's a lot like Wasted Years, yes. Not in a band. I've been in a few in the past, one for quite a few years, but not anymore. I really don't have the time to be in a band now anyway. That'd be way too much to handle, regular practices and all that stuff. What do I do for a living? Well, I do still teach guitar. Nowhere near as much as I used to. Nowhere near as much as I would like to now. But I'm working on rebranding, growing the brand and all that stuff again. So guitar lessons is part of it. I also do a lot of deliveries for Amazon Flex and DoorDash to fill in the gaps. Patreon supporters help me pay my electric bill. So a little bit there. Trying to continue to grow that stuff. Yeah, full-time work plus a band can absolutely be a lot to juggle. Especially if you're doing more than 1 week practices. What's my favorite band? That right there. I think you're the only person who may have asked that. Top 5. Yes, Maiden. Norah Jones. Let's see. Who else would I consider favorites right now? Morbid Angel is my favorite death metal band. Slayer's still one of them. One of my favorites. They're one of my biggest influences. Halloween used to be top 2. They're still a big one. I don't know, that's kind of hard to just say the exact top 5. Because you could also say Bruce Dickinson's one of the top bands. There's a big influence there with his solo stuff. Usually one of the comments I get on YouTube is like, hey, does this guy like Iron Maiden? Because the back wall there, you got all the Maiden stuff on there. I usually have an Iron Maiden shirt on when I'm, well, most of the time. This is one of the rarest shirts that is not an Iron Maiden one. Yeah, Halloween was a big influence back in the main influences actually were Iron Maiden, Halloween, Slayer, and Morbid Angel. Those are the biggest bands for me in shaping my sound. Of course, other bands have changed that down the road, but those are the main 4 at the time. There's a bit of Merciful Fate there in the beginning too. Kisk is a beast on vocals. I think he's one of the few people that can actually outdo Bruce when it comes to vocal range. You're trying to sing along with his stuff in the car, man, I can't do it. It's too damn good. No, that was not Ride the Sky. That was Victim of Fate. Although Ride the Sky would be. That's all I know there. Yeah, Victim of Fate, that was the other one. Well, everyone, it's been almost 2 hours. I think it's about time to end this stream here. But I do appreciate everyone who was on and participated. So yeah, this is going to be archived. So later on today, it will be up on YouTube. The abbreviated version with all 5 half-whole diminished scale riffs will be up at the latest sometime tomorrow. And then the live stream guitar lessons will be down to 1 a month for right now. First Saturday of the month, 1 p.m. in Colorado time, Mountain Time Zone, live guitar lesson. I don't remember what the next one's going to be. I will probably be doing, finally, the intro to CAFO for a standard tune 6-string guitar to fill that request. So, thank you again for all those who participated. And this stream is